Hello everyone, I'm Mr. Kelham and I'd like to say hello to everyone who's going to be in 3K in September. I know I used to teach in reception, so I'm looking forward to having some of you back again and also meeting new people. I'd like to read you a story. This is going to be our class story when we start back in September. I'd like to read you part of one of the stories from The World's Worst Teachers by David Walliams. Miss Speck's Trike of Terror. In a world of horrible teachers, one in particular stands out for her wickedness. Step forward, or rather roll forward, Miss Spick. The lady may have been elderly, but she had lost none of her power to instil fear into the hearts of all the pupils at Spottington School. Miss Spick's eyes were as black as coal. Her skin was as white as snow. Her tongue was long and thin, like a snake's, and when she spoke her s would be sinister. The librarian always rolled her three-wheeler mobility scooter along the aisles of books as fast as it would go. Kids had to leap out of the way to avoid being hit. Ah, help, owie! Despite the wounded children strewn across the floor, the librarian kept her library impossibly neat and tidy. All the book spines sat on the shelves in perfectly straight lines in strict alphabetical order. There was never a speck of dust or a spot of dirt to be seen anywhere in the Spottington School library. Miss Spick enforced a strict policy of no browsing. Signs reminded you of this at every step. In fact, there might have been more signs than there were books. Books were to be taken out or left well alone. When they were returned, the librarian would pull her magnifying glass out of her drawer and thoroughly inspect them for any damage. Without fail, Spick always found some. When she did, you had to pay. There's a fold line on the top of a page 137. Fine, she would say. There's discoloration on the back cover caused by exposure to sunlight. A fine. There's a greasy smudge from a thumb or a particularly stubby finger on the inside front flap. Fine. Spick determined the fines herself. They would vary wildly. The librarian would stare down at your shoes and determine from the state of them what she thought you could afford. Scuffed, 10 pence. Highly polished, £10. The money would then be snatched off you and stuffed in Spick's special tin. The tin was huge, more like a treasure chest, and was full to bursting with cash. Every child at Spottington School had fallen foul of Spick's greed, except two, the Town twins. Tom and Tim Town were child geniuses. The twins always received 100% in all their tests. The bullies called them the nerds. No matter, these nerds were sure to invent some sort of supercomputer, become billionaires, and take over the world. The Towns had been dabbling with all kinds of inventions already. Even though none had quite caught on yet, they had already created internet for cats, flying sheds, invisible hairdryers, exploding cricket balls, self-boiling eggs, night vision goggles for bats, nuclear-powered umbrellas, inflatable socks, electric flip-flops that walk themselves, and hair-free dogs. The Town twins worked 10 times harder than anyone else at school. They were so studious that they had never been told off in their lives. So it'll come as no surprise to you to learn that whenever they returned a book to the library, it was absolutely spotless. Needless to say, this turned Spick incandescent with rage, as it made it impossible for her to find them. Nevertheless, she had amassed a fortune from all the other kids. But what did an elderly school librarian need all this money for? To soup up her mobility scooter, of course. Keep up. The kids gave the beast of machine a nickname. They called it the Trike of Terror. It was terrifying with all its modifications. It had a cage at the front big enough in which to fit a small child. It had blindingly bright headlights. It had a bull bar at the front, a booster battery. It was painted black with a respray. It had go faster stripes. It had a revolving number plate, in case going 100 miles an hour she whizzed past a speed camera, and a parachute at the back for instant stopping in an emergency. To pay for all these modifications, Miss Spick began imposing on-the-spot fines in the library for all kinds of spurious reasons. Returning a book, 1 second late, 10p. Whispering too loudly, 20p. Sneezing on a book, 75p. Looking as if you were about to sneeze on a book, 65p. Dropping a book, £20. Having an untucked shirt, 55p. Leaning on a bookcase, 25p. Yawning, 5p. Pulling a book off the shelf by hooking your finger over the top rather than pinching the spine with 2 fingers, £8.50. Sharpening your pencil and thereby disturbing the peace, 95p. Sucking on a mint, 35p. Bringing a can of fizzy drink into the library, which is strictly forbidden, £1.25. Having a head shaped like an egg, 15p. Using a too scratchy pen, 30p. Dropping a crumb on the carpet, 1p. Smiling without prior written consent, 40p. Smelling of cheese, 80p. Tapping the desk, 85p. Breathing more than your fair share of air, 90p. Picking your nose, 50p. Picking your nose and eating it, £1. Picking, licking, rolling and flicking, £2.50. Breaking wind, £100. Soon it was impossible to even set foot in the library without Spick extorting more money from you. So the kids simply stopped going, which was a real shame, as they loved reading books. After she'd sat alone in her big empty library for a whole term without one single visitor, Spick thumped the desk in frustration. Of course she had to fine herself for doing that, so she took 85p out of her special fines tin before immediately putting it back in. Clink. Then Miss Spick had a thought. Ding! If the children would not come to her, she would have to go to them. So she leapt astride her trike of terror and rode it through the double doors of the library, banging them open, and out into the school. As Miss Spick trundled into the playground, a gust of wind picked up a crisp packet, crinkled, and it flew into her face. Wonderful, she exclaimed. That was because it had given Miss Spick an idea. Ding! On-the-spot fines for littering. You, child, that chocolate bar wrapper you so carelessly tossed over your shoulder will cost you dearly, she hissed moments later. But, Miss Spick, that isn't my chocolate wrapper, the girl protested. Oh, yes, it is. No, it isn't, I promise. I'm allergic to chocolate and have never, ever eaten it. In the time we've been talking, the fine has gone up from 60p to 70p. The kids had no choice but to cough up the cash. If they didn't, Spick would pursue them around the playground, sitting astride the trike of terror. Help, no, ah! And the souped-up mobility scooter had just been fitted with stereo speakers. Now Miss Spick could listen to Beethoven's bombastic Fifth Symphony, her favourite piece of music, on a loop as she terrorised them. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dum. All the kids at Spottington School were running out of pocket money, and fast. Every last penny was going straight to Miss Spick, and they had nothing left to spend on the things that truly mattered in life, like football cards, or hair scrunchies, ice cream, bubble gum, rude comics, whoopee cushions, stickers, smelly rubbers, and gops. Someone at school had to do something to stop Miss Spick, and the only kids at Spottington School who were not terrified of her were the Tang twins. It was time for the revenge of the nerds. And I will finish that story for you when we get to meet up in September. Hope you have a good summer holiday, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.